In today's video, I want to give you guys official updates on The Last of Us Part 2 as well as Ghost of Tsushima's release dates. They have been revised. Obviously, we knew The Last of Us Part 2 was delayed indefinitely. Ghost of Tsushima, I was expecting a delay, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are very much aware about The Last of Us Part 2 story leaks that are all over social media right now. I'm obviously not going to get into that. I will not give you guys spoilers, but it was literally everywhere, and I did get spoiled. And I'll just say, my disappointment can't be measured right now, but hey, at the end of the day, I was more excited for Ghost of Tsushima, so I will be still checking that game out. Also, we have an update on Crysis Remastered. It's just the original game. It won't include Warhead or any of the other games from the series. It's just Crysis 1. I think a lot of us expected that, but Inverse had the update on that. And Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is already in development, confirms producer. Does that mean we'll see the game relatively shortly? I don't necessarily think so. I do think it's going to be a couple years before we get that game. More on that at the end of this video. But as noted on the PlayStation blog, release date updates for The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, both Naughty Dog's and Sucker Punch's productions, PS4 titles will launch this summer. As our Sony teams at Sony Interactive Entertainment and Worldwide Studios approach development milestones and confront a world-changing event, we find ourselves having to adapt to today's ever-changing climate amidst some disruptions to our working styles. We wanted to provide an update to PlayStation gamers who are eager to learn when our next exclusive titles will arrive to PlayStation 4. As we begin to see an ease in the global distribution environment, I am pleased to confirm that The Last of Us Part 2 will arrive on June 19th and Ghost of Tsushima will follow on July 17th. That was coming directly from Herman Hulse, head of Worldwide Studios, so both games are seeing a 1 month delay or just around there. Hulse continued by saying, I want to personally congratulate and thank both the teams at Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch Productions on their achievements. As we know, it's not an easy feat to reach the finish line under these circumstances. Both teams have worked hard to deliver world-class experiences, and we can't wait to see what you think of them when they release in just a few short months. And finally, I want to thank the PlayStation community for their continuous support and patience. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be going off on the comment section about The Last of Us Part 2 leaks and everything coming out about Naughty Dog. By all means, talk about that, but just don't give any direct spoilers. At least have some respect for people that are still excited for the game. But yeah, not only am I upset about The Last of Us Part 2 story spoilers, I am also upset about what's coming out about Naughty Dog. Hopefully, Ghost of Tsushima can really remedy the situation, because that is the game that I was always more excited for. I talked about that in a prior video. I am just more excited for the unknown that Ghost of Tsushima is bringing to the table. I think Sucker Punch is going to do a really good job with that title, and I hope that with Ghost of Tsushima, because there is no doubt that Naughty Dog is going to have a little bit of a negative reception going forward. I hope that Ghost of Tsushima delivers to the point where it does elevate Sucker Punch to an extent where they are looked at as an elite game studio, because I thought for a long time that they were on that level, that they are a high-quality game development studio with games like Infamous, games like Sly Cooper, but they were really never at that level perception-wise, and a game like Infamous Second Son was never really at the level of a God of War and games of that nature. Whatever the case may be, Ghost of Tsushima is shaping up very, very nicely, and to get a game in the middle of summer where a lot of you guys are going to be on break from school and whatever the case may be, I know that a lot of you guys are off school right now anyway, but I imagine the majority of you guys still have online classes and things of that nature if you're in college, but being at home, getting to explore a colossal open world in Ghost of Tsushima with no waypoints, so that's going to lead you to a lot of exploration. That is going to be a thrill in the midst of the summer heat. So hey, at least we can still remain excited for that. Last of Us Part 2 at this point, I'm going to stay away from commenting on it, but maybe in the future I will do a video on that if you guys are interested. I'm not going to talk about direct spoilers because that is not something I want to do. But yeah, Twitter is a cesspool right now if you do go on there, so maybe avoid that if you don't want spoilers. Alright, moving on from that, Crysis Remastered is just the original game. It won't include Warhead or any of the other games from the series. Coming from Inverse.com, Inverse reached out to Crytek for clarification, and a representative confirmed that Crysis Remastered includes the campaign from the first game and little else, so fans shouldn't expect Crysis Remastered to include even Warhead, and obviously it won't include Crysis 2 or Crysis 3. Now, it is going to be a $40 release, I believe, and Crysis Remastered is actually coming with it a bevy of upgrades, more so than a lot of other remasters, so I'm actually okay with it just being Crysis 1. Ideally, I would have liked Crysis 2 and Crysis 3 in there. The majority of people seem to think that Crysis 1 was the best game in the series. I personally thought Crysis 2 was really good, wasn't a big fan of Crysis 3. Nonetheless, the opportunity to go back and play Crysis 1 is going to be really great, because a lot of you guys may have played Crysis 1 on the PlayStation 3. I know I did, and then I played the game on PC, and man, the PC version of Crysis is just so much better than the console version. The PlayStation 3 just had a lot of limitations on Crysis 1. I mean, you're talking about a budget console that was released in 2006. Crysis brought high-end PCs to their knees in 2007, so the PlayStation 3 version was never going to be that compelling, but it was still an enjoyable game, and I think on the PlayStation 4, a lot of the handcuffs should be removed. I really hope it's at a high level because ideally, I think Crysis Remastered could have made a lot of waves on the PlayStation 5, but maybe they want to reintroduce Crysis to as many people as possible. That's why it's on the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The most amount of people are going to be able to play it. If it was on the PS5, yeah, it could run incredibly well, but now you're talking about secluding the game to a smaller portion of gamers, and also you have to ascertain the fact maybe they're doing Crysis 4, and that's going to be a next-gen title, a PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC title. At that point, you can really accentuate the technical greatness of a Crysis game, because now you're talking about the handcuffs really coming off on next-generation platforms, and they can go all in with that game. It did come out that Crytek is hiring for a AAA project. I would imagine that's a Crysis 4, but it could easily be something different. They could be working on a new IP, but usually a remastered version of a game, a lot of the times that is testing the waters for the interest of another game, and it's just a way to set the table for another game in a franchise being released, because at this point, if Crysis 4 is far along, it should be coming out sometime in 2021, 2022, and that means the game has already been greenlit, so you would understand how that works. Nonetheless, Crysis Remastered would only include Crysis 1, not even Warhead. Hopefully we see the other games maybe in a collection sometime down the line. Lastly, I do want to note that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is already in development, confirms the producer. Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that we had to wait a long time to play. Even after the announcement of the game in 2015, we had to wait nearly 5 years until the actual release of the game. Are we going to have to wait another 5 years for the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2? Well, I certainly hope not, but I do think it's going to be quite a while. However, Final Fantasy series producer Yoshinori Kitase, who is also the producer on this remake, has recently confirmed in an interview with Entertainment Weekly that they are already hard at work on the sequel. Noting development is already moving forward for the next game in the Final Fantasy Remake project, confirmed Kitase in an interview to Entertainment Weekly. This really shouldn't come as a surprise, because you would have to think that this is going to be a game that they want to get out consecutively, because you want to capitalize on all of the hype this game generated. Yeah, in 5 years, 7 years, the game is still going to be big and everybody's still going to buy it, but let's get these games out the gate. You want to get these games out while FF7 is super relevant on everybody's mind. FF7 Remake Code game director Naoki Hamaguchi was also present in the interview and offered his insight on what he thinks about the remake, noting, "I believe that the purpose of a remake is to offer a title that has a universally beloved world to people of the current generation so that they can have an experience that's just as surprising and moving as it was back then, and leave that title behind as a form of entertainment to be handed down for the next 2 decades to come." I've noticed this notion coming from Square Enix quite a bit, where they really want the Final Fantasy VII Remake to be a toppling experience over even that of the original Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, from a game developer standpoint, you would have to assume that that would be the case. Who would want to remake a game and make a game that's lesser than the original version? Obviously, you guys know how I feel about the FF7 Remake. If you've been watching this channel, I thought very, very highly of it. I thought it was a tremendous game, gorgeous visuals, and even though it's being segmented into multiple parts, and yeah, that's a little bit controversial to some people, I did feel satisfied with the entirety of Final Fantasy VII. I felt like I got my $60 worth, and I really enjoyed the game. Hopefully, when it does arrive to Xbox One and PC, probably next year, that opens the floodgates for a new audience to experience the game as well, because it's an excellent game, and it has seemingly sold very, very well, shipping more than 3.5 million copies worldwide in just 3 days, and you also have to ascertain the fact that there are a lot of people buying the game digitally. I mean, who's really trying to leave their house and buy FF7 physically right now? And if you go on Amazon and things like that, the game has been coming in and out of stock, so it seems like the demand has been pretty high, and I imagine digitally, the game has done rather well. I think if we were at a normal world state right now, the game would have done even better if people had more disposable income, if people, you know, were willing to go to the stores, if for, you know, unessential needs like a Final Fantasy VII Remake. Maybe that'll come across as a little bit, you know, crazy that Final Fantasy VII Remake is unessential entertainment, but I guess it kind of is. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is already in development, and hopefully it'll be coming sooner rather than later. As far as when I think the game will be coming, 2022, guys, is the absolute earliest. If you think you're getting this game next year, please temper those expectations. Remember that Final Fantasy 13 took 2 years for every single one of their parts, and if you have to look at it, is Final Fantasy VII Remake a more ambitious project than the Final Fantasy 13 games? I would probably say that yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a way more ambitious game than the FF13 projects, but nonetheless, I think at best 2 years. I think more realistically, guys, I think it could be 3 to 4 years for each of these games, which is kind of sad to think about, but hey, we got a billion other games coming out, so hopefully you can find enjoyment in those until Part 2 does come out. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, The Last of Us Part 2 will be arriving on June 19th. Ghost of Tsushima will follow on July 17th. Spoilers for Last of Us Part 2 are everywhere online. If you are weary about being spoiled on the game, I would really say avoid Twitter, avoid a lot of the social media. I know that might be a little bit difficult, but nonetheless, that is probably your best bet. Crysis Remastered is just the original game, won't include Warhead, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is in development right now, confirms the producer. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.